Okay, and so today on the X Factor, we are going to look at these things called unknown coefficients. Okay, and very simply then, we know that a coefficient is generally it's a number we put with maybe in front of X or in any kind of other variable, but basically it's a constant number. So rather than it being a variable like X or Y or A or B, it's always a number like 1 or 2 or -5 or a quarter. So it's some kind of constant number. So in our first question here, we're given an equation. We're told that 3px plus q is equal to 6x plus 5. And we're for all values of x, and we're asked to find the value of p and the value of q. And so there's one basic rule or simple rule that we need when it comes to these kind of questions. And it basically says like terms together. So here, if I look at my equation that I'm given, I have an x term here and I have an x term here. So basically, by putting like terms together, I'm going to be able to solve for p. So here I'm going to say, well, 3px, well, its like term is equal to 6x, and correspondingly, q, a number on its own or a constant, its like term is the other constant on its own, so it's 5. So here I'm going to say, well, in my first equation, this one here, well, what could I divide across by here? I could divide across by x to get rid of the x's, couldn't I? And so they cancel and they cancel, and I'm left then with 3p is equal to 6. And so in order to get p on its own, here I'm just going to very simply divide by 3. So here I'm going to divide by 3. They cancel and I'm left with p is equal to, well, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And over here, when I equated or put the like terms together here, q and 5, well, then just simply q is equal to 5. And so I can replace that in my equation. And that's it, very simply solved. And I could just go back and check it, and I would say here, well, 3p is 2, 3 by 2 is 6x, perfect, plus 5, and we have 6x plus 5, so we know we're correct. Okay, we're going to try a little bit of a longer one now. Okay, so similarly we're asked in this question here, if ax plus 3 plus bx minus 1 equals 20x minus 4 for all values of x, solve for a and b. Okay, so here we are. Well, first of all, I'm just going to tidy up this equation. So here I'm going to say, well, a by x, well, that is ax. A by 3, well, that's 3a. B by x is plus bx, and plus b, plus by a minus is a minus, and b by 1 is 1b or b, and that's equal to 20x minus 4. Now again, our same rule applies, which says like terms together. So if I put my like terms together, I'm going to keep my x terms to one side and my constant terms to another side. So here here I have an x term, here I have an x term, and here I have an x term. So I'm going to say ax plus bx is equal to 20x. And correspondingly then, so the other terms that are left, well, I have 3a. So I have 3a minus b is equal to minus 4. So that's one equation sorted. I can see, so I'm just going to put a red box around that. I can do no more with that for the moment. And over here, back over to my first equation, my ax plus bx equals 20x. Well, I can see here, if I were to factorize the x outside here, I would be left with a plus b in brackets is equal to 20x. And I know if I were to divide here by x to get rid of that x, that I would have to divide here by that by x, and so they cancel, and I would be left with a plus b A plus B is equal to 20. And so I'll put a box around that, and off we go. So taking a quick look at both things here, I can go no further with this. I can go no further with this. But what do I see? I have two equations with two unknowns, an A unknown and a B unknown. And so when I have two equations with two unknowns, I know that I need to do simultaneous equations. So essentially always with solving for unknown coefficients, step one would always be like terms together, and I work that down then as far as I can until I get, say, these two equations here like this. And then if I have to stop, that's where I stop, and I see then I'm going to use simultaneous equations as my next step. Okay, so we're going to put the two equations together and solve. Okay, so here, I mean, you can see really that it was handy for me to put a red box around my two answers, because then straight away see what my eye is drawn to, what I need to form my simultaneous equation. Okay, so I am going to work away with these simultaneous equations. Looking at these, I can see here I have a plus b and a minus b. So simply adding my two equations together is going to give me my equation. So a plus b is that my plus b minus b will make me equal to and that's equal to 20 divided by 4. And so getting a on its own here, I'll divide by 4. So here I divide by 4. Again, those 4's cancel, and that gives me a is equal to, well, 16 divided by 4 is 4. Okay, and so that's the first part done. And so I am just going to go back to one of my equations and substitute in for a. So if I take my first equation there, I had a plus b is equal to 20. So now instead of a, I'm going to write in 4 plus b is equal to 20. Get b on its own, I want to get rid of this 4, so here I subtract 4 as well. So cancel, and that gives me that b is equal to 20 minus 4 is 16. And so that is my answer, that a is equal to 4 and b is equal to 16. And that's it. Okay, so make sure you have all the notes in your copy, and then open up Schoology to do the first question from activity 3 for your learning check.